What's up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. It's really a sad Football Friday, I should say, because there ain't no more football until the end of March. We do have, however, the NFL Scouting Combine coming up, Pro Days early March as well. Be talking about those when they happen in a couple weeks. The National Scouting Combine is next week, y'all. Just plugging that in there. If you want to see some diamonds in the rough, guys that'll be playing the CFL, the IFL, the AFL is coming back as well, I believe this year. So make sure catch that. But today going to talk about the just news, and then we'll talk about how wrong I was on the ACC and the American conferences in college football in terms of my record predictions. So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall. I don't think I picked one conference champion. I can't remember if I picked one conference champion right or not this year. I'm not sure. Anyways, on to the news. Coaching carousel in college. Two things. Alabama has their new OC, Ben Grubb, heading to Seattle to be the offense coordinator of Seahawks. They promoted tight ends coach Nick Sheridan, former quarterback at Michigan, was with Coach DeBoer the last 2 years in Washington, helping that offense really take off with Michael Penix. So he will be the new OC in Tuscaloosa this year. And then a really interesting one, South Carolina has hired Georgia State head coach Sean Elliott as a tight ends coach. This has been happening, though, all over college football. You know, we saw the Chip Kelly, UCLA head coach, to offensive coordinator at Ohio State. We've seen guys go from head coach in college to position coaches in the NFL and coordinator spots in the NFL as well. But it's really just a weird thing that's been going on this coaching cycle because of NIL and conference reshuffling and whatnot. So yeah, and it's really horrid timing by Coach Elliott. I don't know him personally, but I'm just saying that's a pretty shitty thing to do to your players. They had to cancel their spring game and some of their spring practices. I don't know if it's the rest of their spring practices. I don't know how long spring practice is, but because their head coach just left, it's so not a great look in terms of morality for Coach Elliott. Just saying. And plus, he's not even the coordinator, bro. Like you're going to be a position coach at a SEC school. I understand it's the SEC. It would behoove me if he was making more money as a tight ends coach in the SEC than he was as a head coach in the Sun Belt, but I don't know. So, anyways, UFL news. UFL rules. We got some more rules that they're going to use this year. For punting, they're going to use the XFL rules. So touchbacks and punts out of bounds, those will be placed at the 35. And also the gunners can't move past the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked. So trying to, facilitate returns and penalize the out of bounds thing. I don't like that. I don't like the out of bounds going to the 35. Like that's what punters are paid to do in the NFL, is put that thing down as close as you can to the goal line without being a touchback. So I'm okay with the touchback being the 35-yard line, but the punt out of bounds thing I don't really like.
Yeah, it's odd because it seems like so counter to the kickoff rule. Like the kickoff rule is meant for safety and to make better plays, but this rule seems to be anti-safety. It seems like it goes against player safety and puts like puts more players at risk. I agree with you. I think touchback should go to 35. Make it a challenge for the punting team to pin down the player. But the out of bounds thing, I don't like. I think it unnecessarily puts players at risk when your kickoff rule does a great job of avoiding it. I think this is very counteractive.
Yeah, and also, well, for the kickoffs out of bounds, those go to the 50. For that one. But I'm interested, actually, though. I think special teams coaches might do some interesting things with the gunner rule, because you can't pass the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked. However, I was just thinking like creatively as like, well, they can't move until the ball's snapped. But once the ball's snapped, I mean, why don't we do some like indoor football stuff where we're running them like 10 yards to the line of scrimmage so they're just going to blow by their blocker,
Yeah, kind of like have like one or two players kind of near the punter so that their job is to basically A, prevent someone from blocking it, and B, getting a Redding's head start.
Yeah. Yeah, so the gunner thing, I'd be interested to see if any of the special teams coordinators get creative there in the UFL this year. DPI, defense pass interference, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty, just like college, instead of the NFL's spot foul. Obviously, any DPI inside 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, that'll be a spot foul. Or actually, I should say, any DPI in from the 15 in, I believe. Challenges. So just like I believe the XFL, the coaches get one challenge per game. However, they can challenge anything they want. Penalty, a non-call of a penalty. They can create a penalty by their challenge. But that's the only one they get. They get one a game. You don't get to win and continue to challenge. And then overtime is going to be the XFL format. Best of 3 shootout from the 5-yard line. No kicks available. You can't kick field goals. It'd be one play from the 5-yard line. Best of 3 wins. Which we only got one overtime game, I believe, last year. Maybe 2 that I can think of. But yeah, with the scoring rules, how they are, the extra points, it makes it tough to get overtimes. And for the UFL training camp, it's going to begin in Arlington the 23rd or 24th. So we're coming up on almost a week till training camp starts for the UFL. Bunch of signings, releases, re-signings here. The Birmingham Stallions continue to just get richer. They signed former Carolina Panthers 3rd-round pick quarterback Matt Corral. Former Ole Miss star, was on the Patriots practice squad for a little bit as well. That's a big boost. Obviously, they are not getting Alex Magoo back. He is still on the Packers roster, I believe. So Corral going to be one of the quarterbacks fighting for a spot there in Birmingham. They also got another big boost re-signing 2022 All-USFL linebacker DeMarquise Gates. He had stints with NFL teams as well after his really solid season in 22, back with Birmingham. And then a couple of releases for the Stallions. They released running back Zaquandre White and safety Eli Walker. The Walker one I was more surprised about than White. Walker really solid with Pittsburgh last year, the Maulers safety. For the Battlehawks, they got some quarterback moves going on. They released quarterback Nick Tiano. They re-signed quarterback A.J. McCarron and signed Roughnecks quarterback Brandon Silvers. Those two are massive. St. Louis had a big question mark at quarterback coming in to the spring. Now they have their answer. It's going to be McCarron versus Silvers for the starting job. Have to think that McCarron's going to win out. They kept, I believe, all their coaching staff is returning, so he knows the system best. And he was a monster last year for St. Louis. The Memphis Showboats, they released kicker Alex Kessman and punter Brandon Wright. I can't remember the punter's name that they got, but as they got a lot of the New Orleans Breakers coaching staff in, they were bringing in a lot of Breakers players. They brought in kicker Matt Coughlin, as well as the punter who, again, I can't remember who his name was, but yeah, those two are going to be the guys specialist-wise. The Brahmas, they released a ton of players. They were pretty far over the 75-man limit that you had to get to go to training camp. So they released quarterbacks Jack Cohn and Kurt Bankert, running back Kalen Balaj, wide receiver Juan Carlos Santana, and kicker Christopher Dunn. The Michigan Panthers, they signed Lions practice squad tight end Derek Deese. He was a pretty solid player at San Jose State, big frame. Going to be interesting to watch him in Michigan. And then the Defenders, they signed former Eagles 5th-round pick wide receiver John Hightower out of Boise State, 2020 draft, I believe. So we'll see if he has something to give the Defenders this year. NFL news. The Combine list was announced. 321 players going to be headed to Indianapolis in a couple weeks for the NFL Scouting Combine. I didn't really look in depth to who was and wasn't on the list. I mean, it's tough to see who wasn't on the list. There's 321 players. But I guess just going down, I'll note some guys to look out for at each position. The quarterbacks, I mean, you could look at all of them, really. I love watching the quarterbacks of the Combine. But obviously looking at the top guys, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., and then Caleb Williams. I would say my sleeper, though, in the quarterback spot in terms of just Combine guys is probably Jordan Travis, actually. Obviously coming off the horrific knee injury. Don't know when he's going to be ready. However, I think he's going to do really well in the interviews because he seems like a really good dude. And yeah, I think he is going to get drafted somewhere. And once he's healthy, I think he's going to do really solid, be a really good player for whoever does draft him. Running backs wise, Logan would yell at me if I didn't mention him. Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. Have to mention him. Imani Bailey is going to the Combine. Excellent Senior Bowl game for Bailey there. I love Jonathan Brooks from Texas. Coming off a torn ACL, though. Not sure if he's going to be ready for the start of the season. So that'll be something to watch. But Jonathan Brooks, if Philadelphia, please draft Jonathan Brooks. I would love him in Eagles green paired him with DeAndre Swift. Blake Corum, touchdown machine at Michigan. Not sure how much he has receiving wise. Those drills are going to be big for him. Isaiah Davis, love my South Dakota State Jackrabbits. He also had a really good Senior Bowl. My Georgia boy, Dejon Edwards, got a invite to the Senior Bowl there. Audric Estime, power back, but has the long run speed as well. Notre Dame. Frank Gore Jr. is going to be at the Combine. He had an excellent season. Let's see who else. I know Daniel Jeremiah raved about Bucky Irving from Oregon.
Ooh, I really like Bucky.
Home run hitter that can pound it up inside as well. Let's see who else here. I like Jace McClellan from Alabama as well. I think he can be potential 3-down back. He has the traits anyway to do it. Another Georgia boy, Kendall Milton. He's a power guy. Cody Schrader, excellent season for Missouri. Will Shipley, I love Will Shipley. He's prototypical 3rd-down receiving back that can also give you some touches inside as well. Moving on to the wide receivers. Jermaine Burton, Alabama. He was really good this year. Keon Coleman. I just saw Field Yates, I believe, mock draft had Keon Coleman to the Eagles. That would be just ridiculous. Him and A.J. Brown would just be mossing people all day outside with Devontae in the slot. Malachi Corleaf, Western Kentucky. He won Practice Player of the Week at the Senior Bowl. I like Jacob Cowing. He's short, though. Really a lot shorter than I thought based off his measurements. Troy Franklin, speedster. His 40 should be very intriguing. Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, is going to be there. Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. I know Daniel Jeremiah also raved about him. Or maybe that's Field Yates. Whatever. Luke McCaffrey had an excellent Senior Bowl. Ladd McConkey as well, Georgia boy. The Washington guys will be there. Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze. Adonai Mitchell, awesome for Texas this year, as well as Georgia before that. Malik Neighbors is going to be there. Ricky Pearsall, excellent slot receiver, great hands. Another Washington guy, Jalen Polk. Brendan Rice from USC, Jerry Rice's son. Georgia, Marcus Rosemy Saint. Love me some Aniyah Smith from A&M as well. The other LSU guy, Brian Thomas Jr. Jamari Thrash, I like as a mid-round receiver there. Tez Walker from UNC is a home run threat. Drop issues galore at the Senior Bowl, though. I know a lot of people have been talking about Malik Washington from Virginia. He's one to watch. Xavier Weaver, I enjoyed watching his tape at Colorado. Love Jordan Whittington from the 2 Texas guys, Jordan, or I should say the 3, Adonai Mitchell included, but the 2 W Texas guys, Jordan Whittington, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy I like a lot more. He's a top second kind of guy that I really like there. Johnny Wilson from Florida State's another big guy. And then Roman Wilson had a good day or good Senior Bowl as well. Tight ends, Brock Bowers. That's it. That's all you need to know. Brock Bowers. I love. He's going to be such a beast wherever he goes. And I mean, with how old the top tight ends are, like he might really 2 or 3 years. Brock Bowers might be the top tight end in the league. I mean, he's that good. With Kelsey and Kittle probably gone in that time frame, somewhere in that time frame. Other than that, the tight end class is kind of suspect this year. Theo Johnson had a really he was the whatever team he was, American, I believe, American tight end of the week from Penn State. I really like Jatavian Sanders. I think Jatavian Sanders should be the second tight end off the board in the draft this year. Excellent player there. I know a lot of people like Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. Brevin Spanford had a pretty solid game at the Senior Bowl. Cade Stover, Ohio State. I like him a lot too. I watched some tape on him. And then Jared Wiley from TCU is another good one. Offensive line. Let's see. The tackles, I don't like that they didn't break them up into positions. I know a lot of these guys can play multiple, but Joe Alt, obviously, fighting to be the top tackle off the board. I know a lot of people like Graham Barton at the end of round 1 from Duke, guard tackle versatility. Cooper Beebe might be the best guard in the class from Kansas State. Tanner Bortolini, Wisconsin guy. I like him a lot. Brandon Coleman, guard from TCU. I thought he had a great Senior Bowl week. Olu Fashanu from Penn State, like I said, fighting Joe Alt for the top tackle spot. Troy Faltano, a lot of people think he's sliding into guard at the pro level. So he's a back end round 1 guy as well. Who else we got here? Zach Frazier, solid guard center versatility from West Virginia. Talise Fuaga, he's a mid-20s kind of tackle prospect there, maybe even a little earlier than that. Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma, he's also back end of round 1 tackle prospect. A lot of people like. I saw him actually. I think Field Yates had him in the teens in his mock. Christian Jones from Texas had a pretty good Senior Bowl. He's massive. He's like 6'8". J.C. Latham from Alabama, another one of those good, solid tackle prospects. Christian Mahogany from Boston College, I like him as a guard. Mason McCormick, South Dakota State, another excellent interior guy. Georgia's Amarius Mims, another back-end round 1, possibly even teens guy. Jordan Morgan, Arizona, he's a back end of round 1, early round 2, possibly. Patrick Paul from Houston, I thought he had a good Senior Bowl. He's more of a round 2 guy, it sounds like, at this point. I know my mentee, Ben, he loves Jackson Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, probably the top center in the draft. Let's see who else here. Kingsley Suamataya from BYU. He's a good one. Cedric Van Pran, Georgia, obviously. Caden Wallace, Penn State as well. Zach Zinter from Michigan. He's another one that's one of those injury guys. That'll be interesting to see where he goes. But whoever gets Zach Zinter is getting a potential Pro Bowl guard, I think. He was paramount for the Michigan Wolverines until he got injured in the Big Ten Championship, I believe it was. D-line, Austin Booker from Kansas. He's a guy that's shooting up a lot of people's boards right now. I like Tyler Davis from Clemson. He's lost a lot of steam, but I think mid-rounds you can get him. Solid player. Oregon's Brandon Dorless, power rusher inside. Justin Eboigbe from Alabama had a really solid Senior Bowl. I liked him. Braden Fisk, Florida State. How can you not like him? Switches teams the day of the Senior Bowl, and has a really good game. Your guy, Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State. Jalix Hunt from Houston Christian is a guy I don't think many people are talking about, but he had excellent numbers sack-wise at what used to be called Houston Baptist. Interested to watch him work out. Marcus Harris from Auburn. I forgot to mention him. Guy I didn't really know much about. Had an excellent Senior Bowl. Medisa Isaac from Penn State. I know a lot of people like his traits. Brennan Jackson, Washington State. He's a workhorse type guy. Chris Jenkins from Michigan, good interior player there. Mohamed Kamara, Colorado State. He can do everything on the outside. He did that for the Rams. Laiatu Latu from UCLA in the conversation for the top edge rusher off the board. Zion Logue, Georgia guy. Byron Murphy, second from Texas. Him and his teammate Tavondre Sweat, those two. I like Sweat a little bit more. Murphy, though, regarded higher in scouts' eyes. Johnny Newton from Illinois, he is a beast. Absolutely love him. However, he's I think he should go in the first, potentially. We'll see. Chop Robinson, Penn State. Love him. Darius Robinson from Missouri. He is the hottest player of any position right now out there. Mason Smith, LSU, good defensive tackle. Talked about Sweat. I like Xavier Thomas from Clemson. He's an older guy. However, has a good motor. Braylon Trice from Washington, also like him a lot. Jared Verse from Florida State, also in the conversation for the top edge rusher off the board as well. Linebackers, off-ball linebackers. J.D. Bertrand is a tackle machine. Chris Braswell from Alabama, he had a really good Senior Bowl. I'm interested to watch him. Your guy Steele Chambers from Ohio State. Junior Colson from Michigan is in the conversation to be the second linebacker because most consensus boards have Edgerrin Cooper from A&M as the number one off-ball linebacker taken. Kalen DeLoach, Florida State, excellent. I really like Tommy Eichenberg, Ohio State, in the mid-rounds, possibly even late day 3. Jalen Ford from Texas, another one. Easton Gibbs, Wyoming. Cedric Gray, North Carolina, had a good Senior Bowl. Curtis Jacobs, my Penn State guy there. Gabe Murphy, Darius Muasau, both UCLA guys. Murphy, an outside linebacker. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I love it. I don't know. Cooper's taken over as the number one linebacker. But I'm just saying, I like Jeremiah Trotter. Zion Tupuola-Fatui from Washington. Dallas Turner. He's probably going to be the number one edge player there. Nathaniel Watson, Mississippi State. Peyton Wilson, NC State, is another off-ball linebacker I would love to have on any of my teams. DBs, Chris Abrams-Drain for Missouri. The Missouri guys, him and Enos Rakestraw Jr., those two should have good days. Tyrion Arnold from Alabama in the conversation to be the number one corner off the board. Love Utah safety Cole Bishop. Hard worker, plays really well. My Georgia guy, Javon Bullard. Excellent Senior Bowl for him. Cooper DeJean from Iowa. Not sure if he's going to be healthy enough for the combine, but hopefully he should be healthy for his pro day. Also in the conversation for the number one corner spot. Can also return punts. Daquan Hardy, Penn State. Excellent punt returner there. Let's see. Cameron Kitchens, Miami. He's in contention for one of the top safeties off the board. Kalen King, Penn State. Kamari Lassiter, Georgia. My two schools there. Love those two guys. Lassiter, potentially a first-rounder. Kool-Aid McKinstry, another first-rounder from Alabama. Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo. He's been in first-round conversations a lot currently. Tyler Nubin from Minnesota. He's an excellent player at the safety spot. Mentioned Rakestraw. Mike Sanderstill from Michigan, really solid player, can get in on day 2. Jalen Simpson from Auburn, pick machine there. Georgia's Tyke Smith, excellent performance at the Senior Bowl. TJ Tampa from Iowa State, I like him in the mid rounds. Nate Wiggins from Clemson, he's going to be a first rounder. Specialist wise, really the only ones I like: Will Reichard, kicker from Alabama; Torrey Taylor, punter from Iowa. Those are the 2 I like the most out of those guys. That was a lot, I know. Other NFL news, though. 49ers left tackle Trent Williams said he plans to return in 2024. Big boost to San Fran. They don't have to worry about drafting a left tackle this year or getting one in free agency. However, could be proactive. Draft one anyways. We'll see what they do. Big news out of Vegas. Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has been suspended for the first 2 games of 2024. Performance-enhancing substance policy. He is going to appeal it. However, the Raiders do expect to release him anyways. He has an $11.25 million option that kicks in the 5th day of the league year. Probably is going to be voided anyways with the suspension now, so it doesn't really matter. The Steelers, they submitted a bid to host the draft in 26 or 27. That would be super hyped. I would be very excited to go to that if I could. We'll see. I don't know what. Who knows? Who knows where we'll be in 2 or 3 years. But yeah, I think Philadelphia got it. Pittsburgh would be a great place to have it as well, I think. GM carousel, the Commanders. They hired Lions Senior Director of Player Personnel Lance Newmark as the assistant GM. Very well regarded in the Detroit organization, and I believe has ties to new GM Adam Peters as well. Coaching carousel, the 49ers made big waves. They fired defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. The defense was pretty bad in the playoffs overall, and that was pretty much what did him in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this fire, especially after how well he performed in the Super Bowl. I mean, and especially considering who they're considering to hire for defensive coordinator. It's Brandon Staley. I think Staley would be a massive downgrade.
Yeah. I thought Staley already got hired.
No, I don't think so. I think he's still unemployed as of now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think I gotta disagree with you on this. I think he played a lot better. He coached a lot better in the playoffs than people really want to give him credit for. I mean, the second half of the NFC Championship game, that defense locked in. And in the Super Bowl, I mean, he gave up 19 points in 4 quarters against Pat Mahomes, and your offense couldn't get it done. It's hard for me to look at that and think, yeah, Steve, the defensive coordinator should have been fired. This one's kind of boggling to me.
Yeah, I mean the stats. It just wasn't good overall statistically. I believe in their 3 playoff games they averaged like 300 something passing yards against. So I don't know. But come back to Carolina, Steve. We'd love to have you.
That would honestly be a good hire for them.
Ejiro Evero would love to have you back. The Chiefs, they did some deals this week. They signed DC Steve Spagnuolo to an extension and special teams coordinator Dave Taub to a 3-year extension as well. So all 3 coordinators back for KC in 24. The Eagles, they signed special teams coordinator Michael Clay to an extension as well. So they have all 3 of their coordinators locked up as well. One of the best young special teams coaches out there. The Titans hiring Bengals assistant special teams coach Colt Anderson as their special teams coordinator. Follows Brian Callahan down there to Nashville. The Commanders hired 49ers assistant head coach Anthony Lynn as run game coordinator. I think that's a home run for Dan Campbell and Brian Robinson there in Washington. I think Anthony Lynn, one of the best run coordinators that there is out there. The Broncos made a couple moves, hiring former Saints offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael as a senior offensive assistant. No surprise. He was Sean Payton's offensive coordinator for years there in New Orleans. And then they also hired former Wisconsin interim head coach Jim Leonard as defensive pass game coordinator and DB's coach. A couple releases, big names here for Chicago, releasing guard Cody Whitehair and safety Eddie Jackson. $21.5 million saved on the cap. Chicago continue. I mean, they already had a lot of money. Now they, maybe pushing the Commanders with the most this offseason. But those two are big name. I mean, they should get signed. I don't know how quickly, but I don't think either of those guys is going to be like a 1-year deal kind of type.
No, especially Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson he had always been a guy whenever you played the Bears. It was always a guy you were worried about, especially when he was a lot younger. He did kind of tail off. That's probably why he's getting released. But in terms of depth safety, he's probably one of the best in the free agent market.
Yeah, I was going to go the opposite way. I was going to go especially Cody Whitehair because he was a former All-Pro guard, has center versatility as well. And anyone that needs interior offensive line help should be calling him real quick.
I would say the Vikings if they don't re-sign Dalton Reisner.
There you go. One signing to note, the Eagles getting a little free agency in already. They signed former Lions third-round edge rusher Julian Okwara to a 1-year, $2.675 million deal. I love it. Depth edge rush is what one of the Eagles' top priorities this offseason. Was eligible to sign with anyone after he wasn't signed to any reserve futures contracts following the season. So with the Hassan Reddick news or in Philadelphia, trade, not trade, don't know. Get a guy that's experienced, and that is pretty solid depth there. NFL pick standings. Yeah, Logan got the last laugh, though, Jimmy. You did win the pick standings. You already had one. But Logan did get the last laugh. He correctly predicted the Chiefs on a lone wolf and Patrick Mahomes would win MVP. Was decently close on the score as well.
And it wasn't bad.
25-22, so he was 3 off on the Chiefs. 5 off on the 49ers score. So, yeah. And I don't know why it did not save my. Okay, that's why. Whatever. Okay, let's see. Let's get a new. I know you're going to be leaving anyways.
But... Yeah, I should get going. So I'll let you do this on your own. Have a good one.
You're not going to laugh at me. But anyways, yeah. So my ACC and American Athletic Conference recaps here. So here is the American. This is how I had predicted it. Not great. 11-1. I had the UTSA Roadrunners winning the conference. Did not happen. They ended up finishing 9-4 on the season, but they were one game shy of the championship game, losing to Tulane late in the year cost them a spot in the AAC championship. So, a couple wins off for UTSA. I had Tulane in second at 9-3. Got the correct amount of losses right with 3. However, they did win 11 games this year, including the bowl game. So I believe they went 10-2 overall. So it wasn't off too far on Tulane. And I did correctly predict that they would finish second. So there's something in that regard. FAU, I was a little overhyped on the FAU train. I just thought that Tom Herman coming back to FAU, I thought that would be a really solid play there. And they did not. They actually reversed my record. They went 4-8, 3-5 in conference there. So that was probably the worst one I had of the conference. But UNT was the next one there, 8-4. I had them. They went 5-7. So also not very good for me. 3 games off on the mean green there. Rice actually was pretty close. I had him going 7-5. JT Daniels did not end up playing a lot, got injured, medically retired after the season. The Rice Owls, they went 6-6. Lost the bowl game to go to 6-7. So I wasn't very far off on Rice. UAB, I was pretty far though. 7-5, 4-8 finish for them. So 2 games or 3 games off there. For the Flames, I thought Dylan Hopkins and co, they would have a good season. Did not go so great. Crazily, they were 0-6 on the road, which is kind of crazy for them. Temple, I had EJ Warner and co. I was very confident in Kurt Warner's son. The Temple Owls were very poor, 3-9, finishing second to last in the conference. I just thought that Temple, like I said, I thought EJ Warner possibly would boost the Owls, and it did not go that way. Trying to see. So 3, 4, 5. I was trying to see if I had any right there. So Rice, I had finishing 5th. They finished 6th. Memphis, I was off on. I was really off on Memphis. They ended up going 9-3, I believe. Seth Hennigan and the Tigers were excellent this year. I had them 6-6. I was really low on them. Same goes for SMU, the conference champ. I did not see them blowing this thing out. I had them 6-6. They ended up going, I believe, 10-2. I think. Anyways, yeah, Preston Stone really surprised me. The Mustangs 8-0 in conference play, did not see that coming. So they were one. Them and Memphis were the 2 that I really was a lot lower on than how they actually finished. ECU 5-7. I was really off on them as well. 3 games. They finished last in the conference at 2-10. I thought the Pirates would be a lot better than they actually were. Navy finished a lot better than I thought. Just 1 game off though in terms of record. They went 5-7. I had them at 4-8. So the midshipmen just a little bit better than what I had them at. Tulsa finished right on the dot, 4-8, third to last place there in the conference. So I correctly predicted positioning and record on that one. So at least I got one right. USF, they finished a hell of a lot better than I thought they would be. 6-6. finishing 5th in the conference. I had them at 3-9. I just did not believe in the Bulls this year. They somehow pulled it together, hung in with Alabama for quite a while. And yeah, good season for the USF. And then Charlotte finished one game above what I had them going at 2-10 last in the conference. They ended up 3-9 this year for the 49ers. And then let's hit the ACC. So, yeah, I had Clemson. I was really high on Clemson. And Will Shipley. And for some reason, I cannot. Cade Klubnik. I had high hopes for Cade Klubnik as well. The defense did not happen. They ended up going 9-3 or 8-4, whatever it was. Did end up in the top 25 at the end, but just 6th place in the conference. FSU. I had FSU in the championship game, 10-2. They ended up going 13-0 in the or 12-0 in the regular season. And then winning the ACC. So I did have them in the championship. I just did not have them winning it. And 2 losses instead of perfect. Miami, I had finishing 3rd. They were bad. Tyler Van Dyke was just not it. And they ended up going 7-5, I think. Or 6-6. And they were probably one of the worst predictions I had there. Duke. I had the Dukies going 9-3. I think the Riley Leonard injury hurt them. They did end up going 8-4 or 7-5. So a little close, but I think Riley Leonard getting injured kind of hurt them a lot this year. Syracuse. I was super high on the Qs. 9-3 for me. Garrett Schrader was not able to get it done. Dino Babers fired. And they just ended up going 6-6. Not great for the Orange. Carolina, though. Carolina, I got exactly right. 8-4. I believe that's what they ended up at. At the end, yeah, 8-4. They ended up going total 8-5 because they lost the bowl game. So I did get them right. However, I was a little off on the positioning. They finished 7th in the conference. I had them finishing 6th. Still close for Carolina. I thought Drake May would gel well with Tez Walker, and that he did, and got the Heels and Mac Brown to an 8-win season. Louisville was the one I got totally wrong. Louisville finishing 2nd in the ACC, going to the ACC championship game, losing to FSU. I had the Cardinals going 7-5 in Jeff Brom's first year. He really exceeded expectations. Jack Plummer and the weapons that they had played outstandingly well until the ACC title game. I was really surprised about the Cardinals this year, and I think they're going to be excellent next year. Pitt, I had them going 7-5. Pat Narduzzi let me down on this season. 3-9 for the Panthers. Just not a great year in Pittsburgh. However, hopefully Coach Narduzzi can get them back to Pitt Panther football next season. For the Hokies, I had Virginia Tech going 6-6, and that's exactly what they did. Ended up 7-6. However, they were a lot higher finish. They ended up finishing 5th in the conference because of their 5-3 conference record there. I had them finishing 9th in the conference at 6-6, but got the exact record right. So happy about that one. Wake Forest, I had going 5-7, just one game off. They ended up finishing 4-8. However, a 1-7 record dropped them all the way down to last in the conference. So that is why I had them off by like 4 spots there. Overall, record-wise, though, just one game off. NC State, I had them 5-7. Coach Doran had an excellent season there in Raleigh. 9-3. I think they ended up finishing. 6-2 in the conference, and a big bowl game for the Wolfpack. I just did not think that they would have enough at the quarterback position with Brennan Armstrong. The defense, though, played well this year with Peyton Wilson and co. So congrats to NC State on a 9-win season. Georgia Tech also very, very surprising. Coach Key there in Atlanta. I had them going 4-8. I just did not believe in the Yellow Jackets. They ended up at 6-6, 7-6 with the bowl win. So, I was 2 games off. However, they did finish 4th in the conference based off their 5-3 conference record as well. Virginia, 3-9. I had them going. That's exactly where they finished. Had them exact finish in second to last place in my predictions. And yeah, UVA just has not been the same. They just really, since I want to say maybe even 10 years ago at this point, UVA has not been great. The Cavaliers in Charlottesville, hopefully they can get it turned around relatively shortly. And then Boston College, Coach Hafley's last season at BC there, 3-9 for them. They ended up really well. 7-6 overall record, 6-6 on the regular season. So they went up 3 games on me. Finished 5th to last in the conference because of 3-5 conference record. But I was really surprised by Coach Hafley and what he was able to do there now in Green Bay, the defensive coordinator. So that was my predictions, making fun of myself. Some of them I did get correct, though, which I was very pleased to see. We'll do some more of that in the upcoming shows. Not sure what the schedule is going to be like next week with the shows, because I'll be doing some different stuff in Indiana and New Orleans. However, hopefully we can get shows in for both of those days on location. Would love to do that, especially on Monday for the National Scouting Combine. Maybe we can get some guests on as well. We'll see what I can do. But don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Thank you all for watching. We'll see y'all back on